for the hardest-hitting show in talk radio. The true progressive voice since 2012. This is Southpaws.
And welcome to Southpaws on the Pacifica Radio Network. We are the leaders of the revolution. My name is Darren Gibson, and I'm your co-host.
My name is Jack Prince. I'm your fellow co-host.
I have been waiting for this day for a long time. We have a double Hammer Time segment this week, and one of the winners is somebody I've been wanting to talk about for about 4 years now. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to roast you.
Yeah, this is going to be a special day prior to Thanksgiving when there's going to be turkeys in the roast pans across America. Here at Southpaws, we have our victim to roast today, and he is so deserving. I can't wait. As a matter of fact, this could be one of those, the talent show where they give you a gold... This could be an automatic go to the top of the list of all of our douchebags.
Yep.
This could be the champion today, so hang on, folks.
Yes,
it's going to be good.
Yes, he could. And before we get into our topics for today, a reminder that you can follow us on social media by going to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. You can follow us on Twitter at Southpaws Radio. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/Southpaws Radio. You can listen to the show anytime you like at Spreaker.com. Do a search for Southpaws there. You can find us at the iTunes Store. Search for Southpaws under Podcast. And once you've found our logo, you've found us. And, of course, our podcasts are also automatically uploaded to our YouTube page. Go to youtube.com, look for Southpaws Radio there, and you'll find our episodes as well. And, of course, you can listen to us on great Pacifica stations, including KCEI-FM, Taos, New Mexico, KZGM-FM, Kabul, Missouri, and on Global Community Radio Channel 1 every Monday night at 9 p.m. We're on right after Democracy Now! Make sure you check that out. And speaking of Democracy Now!, I just got a fundraiser in the mail for them, so I know that they're looking to raise some money to help defray their costs because they got a much bigger staff than we do. So the staff is you and me, and that's pretty much it here. But if you can help them out, that'd be awesome. Make sure you contribute to your local Pacifica station because they do some great work.
Folks, these are the underdogs. These are, you're going to go to the game tomorrow, and you're going to cheer for the underdogs across the United States, right? The people that don't have the colleges, that don't have the money, don't have the athletes, hoping they upset the ones that do. Well, I've got a teacher friend. I just heard this last night, Darren Gibson. Mm-hmm. There was the opportunity to go to a Griffins game for the special ed students at GRPS. The teacher went and approached the school, asked for some money, asked for enough for tickets for I don't know how many students. Mm-hmm. Was summarily denied.
Yeah.
The director said, what does this have to do with learning, whatever the crap was. She took it out of her own pocket.
Just like teachers do every single day in this country.
Exactly. So, folks, when you see underdogs struggling to fight against the huge corporate entities, if it's Bernie or if it's a teacher fighting against the privatization of public schools, help, help, help.
Exactly. By the way, for our audience that's not in Grand Rapids, the Griffins are the Grand Rapids professional hockey team. The Griffins have won championships, and they're affiliated with the Detroit Red Wings. It's basically a Detroit Red Wings farm team in Grand Rapids.
And they're thrilling to the special ed kids sitting over at Union High School.
Yes, they are. All right, let's go into this week. Actually, before we get into that, I want to quickly mention, and you reminded me of this before we went to air today, Jack. We're recording this on Friday, November 22nd. Today is the 56th anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. So I just want to mention that before we
and before we just move on to the other topics, Darren. I've read a lot of comments this morning on Facebook about that date, and one of them really spoke to me in that this person, and I don't know that I totally agree with this comment, but I think it deserves attention, said that this really was a watershed moment. This is a moment that really opened up to fascism, and it hasn't gotten any better. It's just gotten worse since that moment. If they pulled that off with success, which they obviously did, and I'm talking about the murder of a political group that wanted him gone, if that was the case, they had the absolute confidence to ramp it up to the next false flag or the next insider job, you name it. You know, we can look at 9/11. We can look at a long list of questionable activities, starting with that assassination. And I can remember tears falling down my cheeks with the little boy, the son, standing out on the balcony, I believe it was, when the casket came by with the boots backwards. I was home from school, and I guess that was that Junior?
That was John F. Kennedy Jr. Yeah, at the sidewalk as the casket went by and he saluted.
Which I have read accounts that bring his accident in that airplane also into question, in an apparent possible murder of John F. Kennedy's son, who was there that day. I sat at home. I skipped church. Maybe it was indication of what was ahead.
Yeah.
When they walked Lee Harvey Oswald out, saw it live, walked out of his interment room, and a husky guy rushes towards him. I knew immediately this wasn't right. Gets within point-blank range, bang, 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 shoots him right in the stomach. The announcer, and I've never heard it since, broke down immediately, starts crying, saying, what's going on in America? What's happening right now at this moment in America? And there are experts today, and there are private citizens that said at that moment, that watershed moment, this entire episode with JFK was a turning point in the integrity. Well, think about the corruption we're seeing today in these impeachment hearings. And was that a time back, how many years ago?
56.
56 years ago that really marked the end of democracy and any form of reputable government. It could well have been.
And speaking of the impeachment, I want to get right into it here. I have this article from Axios from Wednesday, November 20th. I want to read this here. This is some highlights. European Union Ambassador Gordon Sondland testified Wednesday in one of the week's most anticipated impeachment hearings. In his opening statement, Sondland said that he worked with Rudy Giuliani at the express direction of Donald Trump on matters involving Ukraine. He also confirmed that a quid pro quo preconditioning a White House meeting in exchange for an investigation into the Biden family's business dealings in Ukraine took place and, quote, reflected Trump's desires and requirements, end of quote. He said that he believed that the resumption of military aid to the country came to be conditioned on a Biden-linked investigation as well. Sondland testified that other senior officials, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, knew about the quid pro quo for the Zelensky White House meeting. Under questioning from House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, Democrat, California, Sondland said Trump only wanted Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky to publicly announce the Biden-linked investigations. Quote, he didn't actually have to do them as I understood it, end of quote. Sondland said that he never heard directly from Trump that the military aid was conditioned on an announcement of investigations, saying that assumption was his own personal guess. He later added, quote, by the 8th of September, it was abundantly clear to everyone that there was a link, end of quote. Sondland refused to say whether he believed Trump's assertion in a September 9 phone call that there was no quid pro quo involving the military aid. While he texted Bill Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, that there was no quid pro quo after the call, he testified, quote, I was just trying to convey what he said on the phone, end of quote, he being the president. Trump told reporters outside the White House during Sondland's testimony that he doesn't know him, adding, quote, this is not a man I know well. He seems like a nice guy, though, end of quote. Jeez. Oh, I'm stopping for a quick second just to say the madness that is coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is just astonishing.
Yeah.
Let me continue. It's the latest walkback from Trump about his relationship with Sondland, who donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural committee. He similarly has claimed not to know a number of senior officials caught up in the impeachment inquiry. So maybe that's going to be his defense. I didn't know him. I don't know this guy. I know nothing. I see nothing. I hear nothing. Little Sergeant Schultz for your listening pleasure, folks.
Which, how many people even remember now?
Yeah, no kidding. Via Axios' Jonathan Swan, he wrote this. Unless former National Security Advisor John Bolton does a last-minute reversal and voluntarily testifies, a scenario that appears implausible, Sondland will be the witness who serves as the test case of the White House's theory of impeachment. The theory goes that nothing, literally nothing, that happens in these hearings could convince 20 Republican senators to convict Trump. Sondland is a key figure in alleged efforts by Trump and Giuliani to pressure Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden in the 2016 election. And they mentioned here that Sondland revised his closed-door testimony to reflect that he told an aide to Zelensky that military assistance would not be released until Zelensky issued a statement agreeing to investigate Burisma, a gas company with ties to Biden's son. State Department official David Holmes said in his closed-door testimony that he overheard a call between Trump and Sondland about the investigation on July 26, one day after the Trump-Zelensky call at the heart of the impeachment inquiry. So that was some pretty damning testimony there, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then, of course, the knockout star, the home run hitter, was kind of unexpected, Fiona Hill.
And where are you reading this from?
This is coming from CNN, Washington CNN.
Mm-hmm.
Fiona Hill's extraordinary answer about her relationship with the American ambassador to the European Union was ultimately a finely distilled description of what the impeachment hearings really are all about. President Donald Trump's pursuit of a domestic political errand. That came at the expense of American foreign policy. That's well said. It was stunning in its clarity, but also that it came during the Republicans' turn for questioning. Hill, the former senior director for Russia and Europe at the National Security Council, was several hours into her testimony when she was quizzed by the Republican staff attorney about Gordon Sondland's account of their final meeting. Sondland had told lawmakers, Hill was pretty upset about her role in the administration, about her superiors, about the president. She was sort of shaking, Sondland said. She was pretty mad. Hill acknowledged she was frustrated, but her reasoning why ended up predicting the impeachment crisis now swirling. Her steady demeanor and humble acknowledgement Wednesday that she was wrong in her assessment of Sondland did not blunt the impact of what she was saying. Instead, she said matter-of-factly that Sondland was simply performing a different task, one entirely separate from the policy-centric national security goals she was pursuing. And she said she predicted it would end badly, as it undoubtedly has. I had put my finger on that at the moment, but I was initiated with him and angry with him, and that was fully coordinating, she went on. Okay, now here's the important thing, and I'm going to put this in my own words. This is a woman that came to the United States. This is a UK former citizen, and she talks about the opportunities afforded her in this country. But she, unlike a lot of natural U.S. citizens, sees the danger in Trump's foreign policy. Mm-hmm. Her comments, I'm going to abbreviate now reading, her comments indicate that they were a complete and have been a complete failure. This woman should be joined with dozens of other people there testifying who have stiff-armed the request by the Senate. I think it's the House, right?
The House. Because House does the
investigation. Absolutely refusing to come in and give evidence that would be damning to the Fuhrer, I should say. Now, here's what I don't know if we have time to read it. Bolton typifies that. We said last week in this show, Darren, These people should be arrested.